I might actually go to Craig first. just
Get the PSG. Get the PSG perspective. Let's see what Parisians think.
Fuck's sakes, man. All right, welcome back to the kickoff. And Arsenal have crashed out of the Champions League, unfortunately, in the semi-finals. Even after Arteta's battle cry online of it's our time to make it happen, the tweets have been brutal. I mean, telling Haaland to stay humble in February and ending up trophyless again. People have been tweeting about Arsenal having 35% of Arsenal's trophies are community shields. 21 years without a Premier League title, 33 years without a League Cup, 0 European titles, including even the Europa League. Craig, you seem fully kitted up for this. Did you already own that? We have to ask.
Oh yeah, it was just a wash day. I was going gym. All my gym clothes were in the wash. This was the only one that was available. It literally is a coincidence. Do you think I'm like shameless enough to put this on just because Arsenal went out against PSG yesterday?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
No. All my clothes, I would go and get my washing basket because there's loads of gym shirts in there. But you know what? This was the only one and it just felt appropriate. So, it's going to be an amazing summer, guys. It's going to be an amazing...
I've got a question for you, Craig.
Go on.
Mikel Arteta said after the game, we were the best side in the Champions League. What do you make of that?
Oh, man. It just gets better because I can see when a manager is cracking, when they're losing their marbles, when they're a few nuggets short of a happy meal. Oh, of course. Oh, listen, you're preaching to the choir right now. This guy is feeling the pressure because this is going into his 6th season as Arsenal manager. No silverware. And I know some fans are like, oh no, but he won it in his first season. That wasn't his team. It wasn't his team. He adopted a team. He won it with that team. Kudos. He did what he had to do. But he built a team since 2020. And that team is looking like a shit version of the Pochettino team that was at Spurs. The nearly men. The guys that accumulate points over 2 seasons. Because I remember when we did that, we had more points than Leicester and Chelsea over those 2 seasons when they won the title. But we didn't have anything to show for it. And it's the same thing here. He's coming out of all the quotes. We were the better team over the 2 legs. We have the most points over the last 2 seasons, but Liverpool have the title. All of these ifs, buts. Donnarumma was the best player. Well, he is one of the players on the pitch. That's kind of how it works, Mikel. There's one of the players on another team will be amazing and deny another team the opportunity. But before I let you go, by the way, before I let you move on, right? Highlighting Donnarumma as just their best player, like no one else was incredible, is just pathetic. Like Dembele, even though he didn't play a lot of the second game, was incredible in the first leg. Vitinha, Marquinhos was amazing yesterday. Hakimi, like how dare he disrespect the effort of all of these other players. And then if we talk about the young, inexperienced players like Doué, Barcola, they were causing all sorts of problems. We're talking about 19-year-olds here. Where was Saka? Where was Odegaard? Where are all the... If you saw the way the Arsenal fans were acting after Declan Rice scored those 2 free kicks, it was a foregone conclusion, this tournament. And that's why you don't celebrate early. I can tell you as a Spurs fan, because I ain't had much to celebrate about, but you don't shoot your load early. Okay, wait until you at least get in first and enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even got in.
He's fully gone.
Barcelona.
He's gone.
What's
Okay.
going on? I can't believe
Okay, we got to go to Jacob. Let's pick up on the point that Mikel Arteta raised. His exact quote was, "It's not about merit. It's about the scoreline." And Donnarumma made the difference. I think was the rough quote he gave. He put it all on Donnarumma. How did that make you feel as an Arsenal fan after watching those 2 legs?
Embarrassed, honestly, embarrassed, because I think it completely ignores the fact that David Raya had to make big saves in both games as well,
yeah, including a penalty.
Yeah, penalty save as well. Kvaratskhelia, Barcola came close last night. I think you can say it was a fairly even contest across the two legs. I thought in both games there was moments if we'd have put the ball in the back of the net, it's a different game. The first game, the ball comes off Dembele's shin, comes in off the post. But I don't know. I think what pisses me off the most is that I remember this time last year going out to Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals, and what were we saying? Little moments don't go our way. We don't have the attacking talent to make sure the ball goes in the net. 2 transfer windows, and a year later, we've basically spent a net zero in terms of money, where I'm sat here, I'm watching Mikel Merino try and head in chances. I'm, coming off the bench, I'm deciding if I want Raheem Sterling or an 18-year-old Ethan Nwaneri. And it's just...
It's surprising where he didn't get on, by the way. I think he's looked really sharp since we've seen him earlier this season.
But then you go, what the fuck are we talking about? When the big question is, why didn't an 18-year-old who was 17 a month ago, why didn't a kid who should be doing his A-levels, why didn't he come on the pitch? You go, what have you done with this squad? Like in a year since going out because we didn't have the talent, we're now talking about kids. And by the way, last night, I know Lewis Skelly had a bit of a difficult game, but over the 2 legs, I thought he was really impressive, Lewis Skelly. He shouldn't even be on the pitch. It's an academy midfielder you've had to drag in because you got your recruitment so wrong last summer. Calafiori's missed 31 games for Arsenal because of injury. And no one's talking about it because you've got an academy midfielder who saved you. The squad building at Arsenal is an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment. And that is not to let the manager off the hook, because I know that these are his signings. I know that the reason Edu left is because he wanted more of a say in signings and Arteta weren't having it. And I think there are big wars coming in the Arsenal boardroom. I think Berta coming in from Atletico Madrid, there's going to be clashes. And honestly, mate, I think you've got 12 months now. The clock is ticking. There's 12 months. And if there's not trophies in the next 12 months, it's over. This little projects, this little trust the process thing, it's done.
I feel like you said that
Josh
last
is
season.
not in his head.
Huh? I feel like you said that last season, though.
Let us go to Josh, because Josh, you've got the one thing that you've witnessed your whole life support in Chelsea is constant trophy wins, right? So you've got experience in this, in knowing what it takes. Now, we're talking about recent recruitment with Mikel Arteta, but actually this, choking in the later stages of cups is not a recent thing. If you go back to 2020, when they last won the FA Cup, since then, they've faced Villarreal in the Europa League, Liverpool and Newcastle in the Cup, and PSG in the Champions League. And across all of those 2-legged ties against those 4 teams, they've only scored 2 goals, and they've lost they've run out of all of them. Is there a mentality issue in Arteta's sides?
I don't think it's just to do with the side, to be honest with you. I think there's a mentality issue with the fans. I think there's a mentality issue with the manager in the way that, he brings light bulbs into changing rooms and think that that's going to, innovate and change the course of history. I always find this weird with Arsenal fans in that they were using the Champions League as a sort of get out of jail free card, the last chance to win a trophy this season and a chance to win their, to make that season actually relevant and make sense. I mean, winning the Champions League, speaking with someone from experience here, is not an easy feat. We've got so close so many times and, come up against unbelievable teams. And I think it's so strange that Arsenal fans were pinning their hopes on this competition in particular to be able to sort of say the season was worth something. If you look at the way that they are in the league right now, they're so far behind Liverpool. They're playing them on the weekend. They could slip beyond second. We could be talking about another season where they're finishing 3rd or 4th, depending on some of the results and the way that they go. So I don't even think it's a guarantee there. They have been so far detached from the champions with Liverpool, who quite frankly haven't had the most amazing season themselves, really. So it is another season of failure. And, look, there's banter going around that Arteta should be sacked immediately. Like, let's be honest. If you're a serious club and you really want to win trophies, seasons like this cannot happen over and over again. If this was Chelsea right now in our prime, he would lose his job. It is that simple. And it wouldn't just be him. There would be questions about squad members. There'd be questions about recruitment. There's lots of questions to be had. And that's, unfortunately, it sounds brutal, but that is what you need to be at the very top level. You need to make those decisions.
On the one hand, Jacob, Arsenal have progressed in a sense of they've gone further in the Champions League than what we usually see them go, and they haven't made the semi-finals of the Champions League that often in their history. So this is kind of progress. But in the league, apparently they've dropped 21 points from winning positions this season. So as much as we could say they've had injuries, that's a massive amount of points that if they'd have just held their nerve in those games, they would have picked up and potentially they would have been in a title challenge this season for a lot longer than they were. Are you beginning to worry about a regression, or do you actually still see this as progress with the Champions League progression?
I don't see it as progress. I think even with getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League, I think if you just look at the talent that we have, I think we should be doing that. I think that's where we are as a club. Yeah, I think if we finish second, having got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, for me, there are just enough excuses for me to give this a pass. Just enough. But what I will say is those injuries, it's not just luck. I've said this consistently on this channel. It's not just luck. If you buy injury-prone players and they get injured, you can't call yourself unlucky. If you run players into the ground, be that Kai Havertz, who when he pulled up with that hamstring injury, he'd done the second most running in the league out of all the players. Bukayo Saka, who we've been running into the ground for years. Gabriel Magalhaes, who played 2 legs against PSV despite being 7-0 up at one point. Like it's not bad luck. It's squad management. And I'll tell you this now. You boys have been watching Arsenal and what we do. How many times have we fallen apart in mid to late April in the last 3 seasons under Arteta?
Yeah.
Every single time it is after that international break at the end of March, we come back and we stink. And it's because he can't pace a season. He can't use his squad properly. He has to learn how to do it. He's got one more chance for me personally. And by the way, if you're an Arsenal fan and you're listening to this going, nah, bollocks, I want him out, I can't argue with you. I cannot argue with you. And I think I've had this, to what you were saying, Josh, I've had this weird feeling for a while that like it's all just too intense under Arteta. It's too much. There's too much focus on how we take throw-ins. There's too much focus on playing the right music as we walk onto the training ground. And for a while, I felt like, do you know what will happen? An Ancelotti-style manager, a good vibes guy, will walk in, let this squad relax a bit, and they'll just win everything. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like Slot did that this season for Liverpool. I think Klopp was too intense, and actually they've benefited from Slot. Can I ask you guys?
You heard Salah, right? You heard what Salah said. Sorry to interrupt you, but just you remember, after they won the title, Salah looked down the camera and said, the first thing I said to Slot is, if you let me stay high, track back a bit less, I'll score a shitload of goals. And it worked. Imagine if you could do that with Bukayo Saka, what he could achieve.
If we're going to look at the Arsenal players and say who didn't live up to the hype, who didn't deliver, can you guys give me a few names at least of who you think really... Come on then. Straight away.
At first, a couple of weeks ago, I thought they were being harsh on him, but Martin Odegaard is definitely, I think, the last 6 months of this season for him, he hasn't stepped up. And I think the frustration for a lot of Arsenal fans, and even just for someone that's a fan of football and great players, is that you can see the quality Martin Odegaard has. Do you know what I mean? You can see what he brings to that Arsenal team when he's on song. You can see the talent he possesses. He can unlock a defense. He is the creative outlet in that team. But across the 2 legs, I didn't see enough of that creativity from Odegaard. Do you know? He was looking like a Norwegian Maddison. No disrespect to Maddison, even though that's disrespectful. And I like Maddison, but is Maddison world class? No. Odegaard's supposed to be the world class midfielder that Arsenal have. He's supposed to be the Bruno or the Kevin De Bruyne. And I think in the big games this season, he hasn't turned up. Now, I know that sounds harsh as well because he had that shot that Donnarumma saved. Let's be clear. That save from Donnarumma was ridiculous. Like the way Odegaard has connected with that shot, the technique was impeccable, and he's got down quick to save that. And we could be sitting here saying he scored an amazing goal that started the comeback, and now they're in the final. But that's the margins in football. And I feel like for the rest of the game, or the 2 legs of the games, he just wasn't present enough. He wasn't showing that he is the skipper and that he is the leader. And I think in those moments, you need players like that, especially when they possess that ability and that natural talent to step up and show why they wear the armband. And I just didn't see that as not only an op, but someone watching the game.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to winning trophies. Like, I must admit, as much as I fucking hate Man United, Bruno Fernandes has proven himself to be that kind of guy where you can go, whatever the fuck is going on, he will step up and he will grab that game by the scruff of the neck and make a difference. Even for Newcastle, Isak has done that for us this season in order for us to get a trophy. First, like those kind of players, you can hang your hat on. They are crucial in order to get in the Champions League. And Arsenal, as much as they've got good players, I'm just not seeing enough of those kind of characters. And one player who I used to be quite impressed with, but and it's not that I think he's a bad player, but I think Martinelli, I'm now looking at him going, I'm not saying Arsenal should get rid of him because he has some quality, but like if you want to go to that very top level, is he on that level to be that kind of player? It looked like he was going to be a couple of years ago. I don't say it now. Do you disagree, Jacob, or not?
And now, a word from our sponsors. If you're looking to book a holiday away in the sunshine this summer, then this could save you a lot of money. Saily is a brand new eSIM app. And what it does is it basically gives you a local SIM card that you can use when you're traveling, so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a text back home. And they've got eSIM plans in over 160 countries and 8 regions, so pretty much wherever you're going to be, they'll make sure you're connected. All you've got to do is click the link in the description, download the app, which works on iOS or Android, buy your plan, you can choose the amount of data and time that suits whatever you need best, and then install the eSIM on your phone. And when you land at your destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And the beauty about it is you only have to download this once, and whenever you go anywhere different, you can literally just buy a different plan for that destination, and boom, you're back watching me. And what I really liked about using this last time I went away to America is the eSIM was actually faster than the hotel Wi-Fi I had, and I got an unlimited plan that I could just scroll as much as I wanted, and I wasn't worrying about, am I using up too much data? So if you want to stay connected while you're away, click the link in the description below, go to saily.com/kickoff and use the code KICKOFF, all block capitals, all one word, and you can get 15% off your first purchase. Big thanks to Saily for keeping us connected, but for now, enjoy the video.
I completely agree with you, Martinelli. I don't think, if you look at the team, I look at PSG last night, Barcola, right? He's a really nice player, and I think he's a kind of similar player to Martinelli in a lot of ways. He likes big spaces, he's fast. But if you look at the position Barcola occupies in that squad, he's not necessarily first choice. He's competing with Doué. Doué started both of those ties. And I think if we're going to try and win big competitions next season, that has to be what Martinelli's doing for us, competing for a place, not being relied upon. He had a 15-goal season 2 years ago, but if I'm really honest with you, I look at what he was when he came to us at 18 and what he is now. I don't know if he's improved. And I'm not 100% sure he actually suits Arteta's football. I feel like Martinelli he's a Klopp player, really. High intensity, lots of running, great at pressing, but he just wants to run through. Under Arteta, with this sort of Man City system, I feel like we've almost Grealished him a little bit. Do you know what I mean? We've stuck him to a touchline. He has to beat 3 players to get inside. And for Saka, no issue, because Saka's one of the best wingers in the world. For someone like Martinelli, you kind of got to play to his strengths a little bit, and I don't know if we are. To Ødegaard, what Craig was saying, I'm with you, mate. Like that save Donnarumma makes, it's beautiful, but then you watch it back and you go, that shot, it kind of is 2 feet inside the post. And this is a Champions League semi-final. You think about the goals that decide those finals. You have to get the ball in the corner because you're up against the best keepers in the world. It's a deflected shot from Fabian Ruiz, but it's unsavable. It's Dembele first leg. It's unsavable. That is the level you have to hit. Personally, I'm under the understanding that Ødegaard's still carrying an injury, might even need surgery over the summer. And if that's what happens and he hits his standard again next year, all is forgiven. If not, if he doesn't, and bear in mind, this guy's 27 in the winter time. This does happen sometimes that you can be great till 27, big ankle injury, and you don't come back. Suddenly we're saying that Arsenal need a striker, a left winger that's better than Martinelli. Now you're saying a 10. It's like suddenly...
You need a 6 as well. You probably need a centre-back if one of those are going to go.
We've got Zubimendi coming in. So I think 6, we're kind of good. But the shopping list is getting long. It is getting long now. I don't know if we're going to spin.
You touched on it just briefly earlier before we got into this subject, but the throw-ins. What was that about with Partey? Just constant throw-ins. Obviously, everyone was making the Stoke, Tony Pulis jokes and whatnot, but I was shocked to see that.
It's true, though. It's true.
I was shocked to see that in the Champions League semi-final. Partey just lunging in. Yeah, but there was at least 8 to 10 throws into the box like that.
I think it was 11.
This is a tactical regression.
It was 11, mate.
This is a complete regression.
That's just not the Arsenal way. That's just not. Me growing up watching Arsenal, and I know football changes, styles change. You got to do what you got to do to compete with the best, but Arsenal have always had a DNA of playing football. And I feel like when Arteta took over from Emery or Lombard, he was bringing back that DNA. And then it feels like over the last 18 months, he's kind of shifted away from that. Yeah. And now it's kind of just like, well, we've got a huge team full of tall, giant players. Let's just try and play to their strengths and whip balls in the box or long throws. And I'm just like, that doesn't look like the Arsenal way, especially on the world stage of a Champions League semi-final. To me, it just didn't feel Arsenal.
Well, I think when you look at those Wenger teams that used to play that free-flowing football, positional rotations, if you listen to any of those ex-players talk, or if you read their books, they will tell you there was no strict plan in place. There was a lot of, you guys know how to play football, you're experienced, you're some of the best attacking players in the world, go out and do your thing. That was the coaching message from Wenger. And that's because you had players, be it Henry and Pires, be it Robin van Persie, be it Samir Nasri, Cesc Fabregas, Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil, players who were genuinely the top attacking players in the world. I look at the players we were relying on to score goals last night. We had a half-fit Ødegaard on one side of the midfield, Declan Rice on the other, right? Declan Rice, let's be honest, that's a deep-lying midfielder. Mikel Merino up top, a deep-lying midfielder. Gabriel Martinelli dribbling with his nose an inch above the fucking ball. You cannot say to those guys, go out and do your thing, boys, because their thing isn't winning football matches. They're not of the quality to do that. So I don't want to defend Arteta, but I think when your level of attacking talent is as low as ours is, you have to coach the living daylights out of them. Because looking at those players last night, let's be real. First 15 minutes last night, we were on fire. Like we ran out the blocks. And after 10 minutes, I was like, I don't trust these guys to score an open play goal. I was looking at it, I was like, how do I see the ball going in the back of the net? Is Martinelli going to cut onto his right foot and score? I've not seen him do it this season. Who's Saka going to connect with?
That comes back to Arteta, though. This is a recruitment issue.
Josh, I'm not letting him off the hook.
Yeah. This is the thing, right? Ultimately, this game is perfect in that you're seeing a PSG who've entered a new era. They've got a very smart sporting director, a director of football who's bringing in very, very talented young players, of which we've mentioned and, rightly sort of celebrated. But they actually have a plan and a strategy, and they're bringing through proper footballers who can get open play goals. And I think really what we're seeing more than anything is a bit of a hangover from last summer. The recruitment was completely wrong, and he hasn't built a squad. Like, I'm sorry, right? But all of the best teams in England have had injuries throughout the season. Yes, we can argue one team has had a few more than the others, but the key thing about building a squad in the Champions League in a modern era of Premier League football where we're playing 60 games a season is building a squad that can compete at the top level.
So just
and Arsenal have quite frankly failed.
So hang on, we failed, yeah? So what you're saying is that every other club has had injuries apart from Liverpool, right?
Yes.
And Arsenal are the ones that have failed. So all those other clubs that have had injuries, just remind me where they are. How did their Champions League semi-finals go? Oh, they weren't in any.
Honestly, if we're getting to the point, if we're giving a trophy out for a Champions League semi-final, something has gone seriously wrong.
I'm not asking for a trophy.
If Chelsea had that, we'd have fuckloads of trophies.
I'm not asking for a trophy, Josh.
You're getting to Spurs territory, Jacob. You are getting dangerously close to Spurs territory.
We got to the final in 2019.
A final trophy. Sorry.
You're saying that every other club's had an injury crisis. But we've done better than all of those clubs that have had injury crisis this season.
Yes, all of those mate, you're further along on the journey. You're 5 years into an Arteta. You are completely different from a squad like a Man United who are going to be completely ripped up and need to be completely changed. Completely how Chelsea who have just bringing. We're just bringing through a new era of a squad where we've had to completely throw away our old Galacticos and start again. You're talking about Newcastle. You're comparing yourself to like Newcastle, who are under huge PSR restrictions, and you're saying, "Oh, we've got it worse." Like you should be so far above that team. You should be so far above them.
We are above them. We're above them in the league.
Mate, you're 4 points, and you're going to be potentially 1 point above them at the end of this weekend. Liverpool are going to beat you.
That's still above them. Josh, you're saying we should be above them. We are above them. You're saying we should be above.
I'm not saying you should be above them. I'm saying you should be considerably above them. You should be near enough Liverpool's points in the Premier League.
We're as close to Liverpool's points as anyone else is.
Like, how much has Arteta spent? I swear he spent like 700 million. He's spent close to 5 years.
He has, yeah. Yeah, no, Craig, he's done 750 over 5 years. That's 120 a summer. That's not much. It's less than all of those clubs. It's less than United. It's less than 120 a summer. You ain't won anything.
750 million when you ain't won anything is a lot of money.
We have won the FA Cup.
5 years ago.
He didn't spend the money on the players
5
that
years
won
ago.
the FA Cup. Those players were already bought by another manager. I'm talking about the money he has spent to construct his own team has failed so far.
Yeah.
He hasn't won anything with all that money spent. Like I said, the team he won it with, he didn't spend money on those players.
It's a big problem when Man United or Spurs are going to have a better season than Arsenal. And I'm just saying that
Josh,
now.
You don't believe that. You don't. That's crazy.
I do. If they give you Europa League, mate, that is a huge.
Of course we have.
That's true. It's true. Chelsea have had a better season. If we win the Conference League, we've had a way better season.
I don't know about it.
We've won something.
It's not those people, because Conference League don't get you in the Champions League. The Europa League, you get a trophy.
It doesn't. It gets you a European trophy, though.
Boys. I'm not trying to kick Jacob Wiley's down, I promise. But Arteta has spent nearly 300 million more than Eddie Howe as well. And I think when you look at how Eddie dealt with Arteta in the Cup this season and how close they are in the league, I mean, there's an argument to be made that Eddie's done a better job at Newcastle than Arteta's done at Arsenal. I'm not saying that there's no argument that Eddie's clear of him by any means, but I think if Eddie had another 250 million to spend on this Newcastle side, I think that Arteta would be in trouble then at that point, because I think Eddie spends his money better than Arteta does. I think Arteta's got more wrong than Eddie has, actually, and I think he needs to put that right big time. Can we just spend a little bit of time on PSG real quick before we go?
Yeah.
Because about a year ago, Newcastle came up against this PSG side and we whooped them 4-1 in our backyard. And actually, we deserved at least a draw at their place, but they got given another cheeky penalty, which is unbelievable how often we say that. And yet they've been transformed through losing Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe left in order to go and win the Champions League. And yet PSG might do it the very next season. I don't think that's a coincidence. What do we make of them as a club right now? And do we think that this is something special, or
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of PSG, to be honest with you. I think they are such a well-run club now, and I think that it's really indicative of an era that we're moving away from the reliance on Galacticos. I think what we're seeing more than anything now is that to win Champions Leagues and to win big titles, you need to build a team and not just a series of individuals. And in a weird way, PSG needed to go through that process where they had unlimited cash and unlimited funds and could sign the best players in the entire world to be able to then see that they really needed to build a team behind them. And that would be what propelled them. I think it's a blueprint. If you're looking at that squad right now, that is a blueprint of how to run a football club. And I think there are a lot of Premier League teams right now that are looking at their squads and thinking, well, maybe if we did sign a few more really talented 19-year-olds, we would be in a lot better position in 3 to 4 years' time than if we continued in the way we're doing. You know, look at someone like Man United. They're going to have to start doing that this summer. They're going to have to be signing budget players, and they're going to have to wheeler and dealering, and they won't be able to sign the Galacticos, and they've got to hope that they can bed in and improve over time.
They've still spent a lot of money. They're the richest club in the world.
And they spend a lot on wages. They spend a lot on wages. And also they do have Galacticos from the other era. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've still got the Donnarumma, who's one of the best goalkeeper in the world. Marquinhos, I think you would still say is a Galactico. Hakimi as well.
But with players...
João Neves was 110. João Neves, 110 million pounds. Kvaratskhelia, they gave 350 grand a week. Like, I don't get me wrong. I like the way they play football, but I think to hold them up as this like model of perfect squad building, it's like they're the richest club in the world, spending huge amounts of money.
Do you know what it is?
The players are buying into it, though.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to say. Like, yes, the players, the recruitment's been amazing. They've got a blend of Galacticos and young talent coming through. And let's be frank, this is world-class talent. But for me, what I've seen with PSG, the thing that's impressed me the most, actually, is the manager, Luis Enrique.
Agreed.
I remember, who was it? Was it the quarters, the first leg, where they completely destroyed a team, but they ended up losing? Who was it again? Was that the quarters? Who did they play in the quarters?
They played Villa in quarters.
There was a team they played where they absolutely pumped them, destroyed them in the first leg, and they ended up losing that game. And then he was like, was it Liverpool?
Yeah, they played Liverpool before that.
But that was group stage.
No,
there was a game. What was it? Round of 32? Was it round of 32?
I think it was early on.
Round of 16. Round of 16.
Round of 16, my bad. So look, there was a game, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I remember his interview after the match, and they completely pumped the team on the pitch. I think it was Liverpool, right? And they lost the game. And I remember the interviewer saying to him, like, do you think you can get it done in the next game?
It was Liverpool.
It was Liverpool.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you think you can get it done in this next game? And then he was like, we will. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa, this is Liverpool. Why? He didn't even say, yeah, you know, if we play the way we did today, he said, we will, with confidence. And to me, that just, it said something about his belief in the team and the project he's building there. And I just like the way he conducts himself. Every time I watch an interview with Luis Enrique, he has this quiet but assured confidence about him and what he's doing at PSG and the players he has. And you can tell that they're all buying in to what he's actually building there. And look, they're looking at a potential treble again. Like, he won a treble with Barcelona. No one really talks about that treble much for some reason. I don't know why, but they kind of downplayed the treble he won at Barcelona. And he could potentially be doing that again with PSG. So I think Luis Enrique deserves massive props for what they've managed to accomplish as well.
Agreed.
This would really instate Enrique at the top echelons of management, wouldn't it? Because, you know, when Pep Guardiola left Barcelona, the question was, can he do it elsewhere though? And like, yes, he won the league at Bayern, but he couldn't replicate the European success. It took him a long time at Manchester City to replicate it. So for Enrique to do it this quickly, and I do think him ditching those stars in Messi and Neymar and the like will only have helped the younger players be better off in their thinking of, let's just listen to the manager, because when you do have a mega star in the dressing room, I just think managers don't like it. They struggle to get the authority across. We've seen Ten Hag immediately wanted rid of Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. I do think that's actually helped them a bit. Do we think they win the final, lads, or do we think Inter win it?
I'll go PSG.
Game.
I'll go PSG. I've got to be honest with you, mate. I underestimated them. I don't know if it was on here, but I was looking at their midfield and I was like, have they got enough power? Have they got enough?
I remember, yeah.
Mate, they're fucking such good footballers. Vitinha, João Neves, like Fabian Ruiz, they're such good footballers, man. And I think all of us would agree. And Inter, by the way, is such an entertaining team. But watching PSG, it feels like watching football from 10, 15 years ago.
It does.
You know, like when tiki-taka was fun. You know, when tiki-taka was like attacking, like Iniesta, Xavi, like it was, and we liked it before it was this slow, systemic thing. And like Dembele dropping in and around, like that Doué, the fucking, like the ability he's got on the ball. There's like, for me, PSG winning the Champions League this season, it's not to knock Inzaghi and Milan, because they're a great team as well, but I think they're a slightly more pragmatic defensive team, three at the back. Whereas if PSG like win the Champions League with three like playmaking midfielders, I think it's just a victory for football, isn't it? And I think even last night, even watching Arsenal PSG over two legs, if I'm super honest, it's like, whose football do I prefer? I prefer PSG's football, man.
I want PSG to win. I agree with you, Jacob. I think they play the better football. Of course. But I do think
he's been down the Nike store.
I have this nasty feeling in my gut that I don't want to call it nasty because I don't really care that much, but I do think Inter are going to spoil the party. And the reason I say that is because they are pragmatic. I think that kind of works in a one-off game in a final. We've seen Jose do it time and time again. But also I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, PSG in these knockout phases have kind of had everything their own way. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying they didn't earn it, but I haven't seen loads of adversity. They've usually taken the lead or like dominated team.
They've shown they're beatable, actually, because we see Aston Villa beat them in a game.
There you go. Whereas Inter, that two leg against, who did they just play? My mind's gone blank.
Barca.
Classic, right? Classic two-legged match. I've seen them dig deep in those games to win these games. Do you know what I mean? Well, the first one was 3-3, but the second game, I was watching a team digging deep. They looked out on their legs. They hardly saw the ball against Barcelona. Barcelona dominated possession, passing it around because they are the silky team, and Inter still found a way. And you still felt like they would find a way. Even when there was like 3 minutes left on the clock after Rafinha scored, you just felt they were going to come up with something. And I just feel like in the Champions League, and they have got a history in the Champions League, let's not forget, I feel like that means something. I definitely feel like it means something. It's that football heritage, they say.
There's more pressure on PSG for that reason, yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, lads. Well said. We'll wrap that up there. Let us know who you think wins the final. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to The Kickoff, and we'll see you on the next one.